March Madness is where basketball legends are born, but the real tournament begins after the final buzzer. While millions watch unpaid college athletes battle for a trophy, a select group of visionaries use this exact stage to launch unprecedented financial empires. From fast food conglomerates and global tech funds to billion-dollar equity stakes, these athletes transform their collegiate fame into untouchable wealth. We're tracking the portfolios, the boardroom battles, and the brilliant investments of the richest black athletes who started in March Madness. Let's begin. Number 15. Patrick Ewing, Georgetown. At Georgetown, Patrick Ewing was an imposing, terrifying force of nature. He anchored the iconic Hoya Paranoia era, leading the team to 3 NCAA Championship games and capturing the 1984 national title. But Ewing's most revolutionary move wasn't a blocked shot. It was a boardroom rebellion. When he entered the NBA, the standard playbook dictated signing a traditional, heavily taxed endorsement deal with established giants like Nike or Converse. Ewing looked at the corporate landscape and completely rejected the status quo. In 1989, he became the very first professional basketball player to launch his own independent footwear and apparel company, Ewing Athletics. This was an unprecedented, highly dangerous financial gamble. Instead of collecting a safe royalty check, Ewing assumed the massive risks of manufacturing, distribution, and global marketing. The gamble paid off spectacularly. In the early 1990s, Ewing Athletics exploded, generating over $100 million in global sales and forcing the monolithic sneaker brands to completely reevaluate player compensation. While the brand eventually went dormant, its highly successful 2012 relaunch proved the enduring power of his intellectual property. Ewing didn't just wear the shoes, he owned the factory. He laid the foundational blueprint for athlete ownership, proving that a dominating college presence could be directly converted into a global, independently owned corporate entity. His legacy isn't just in the Hall of Fame, it's in the fiercely independent business models of the athletes who followed him. Number 14. Grant Hill, Duke. Grant Hill didn't just play for Duke University. He was the aristocratic, highly polished face of a college basketball dynasty, securing back-to-back NCAA championships in 1991 and 1992. His pristine image and explosive athleticism made him a marketer's absolute dream. But behind the polite smile was an incredibly sophisticated, ruthless investor who understood that early athletic capital had to be immediately shielded and diversified. When Hill signed a massive $80 million endorsement contract with Fila, a deal that completely disrupted the 1990s sneaker market, he didn't squander the capital on depreciating luxury assets. Instead, he channeled his wealth into 2 heavily fortified pillars: real estate and fine art. Hill became one of the world's most prominent collectors of African-American art, treating cultural preservation as a high-yield, appreciating asset class. Furthermore, his company, Penta Mezzanine, deployed hundreds of millions of dollars into commercial real estate development across the Sun Belt. But the ultimate manifestation of his financial evolution was his transition from employee to owner. In 2015, Hill utilized his massive, carefully compounded wealth to join the elite ownership group that purchased the Atlanta Hawks for $730 million. As vice chair of the board, he now sits in the ultimate seat of power, dictating the financial future of a billion-dollar franchise. The Duke prodigy successfully transformed his collegiate brilliance into an institutional, boardroom empire. Number 13. Carmelo Anthony, Syracuse. In the storied, century-long history of college basketball, there may be no single greater freshman season than Carmelo Anthony's 2003 campaign. He single-handedly carried the Syracuse Orange to their first and only national championship, instantly becoming a global icon. That championship run guaranteed him a massive rookie contract and a highly lucrative Jordan brand endorsement. But Carmelo's true financial genius emerged off the court, far away from the flashing lights of the arena. While his peers were eagerly buying car dealerships and restaurant franchises, Carmelo recognized a massive fundamental shift in global wealth creation. He looked towards Silicon Valley. In 2014, long before athlete tech investments became a trendy, mainstream phenomenon, Anthony co-founded Melo 7 Tech Partners. This was not a vanity project. It was a highly aggressive, early-stage venture capital fund specifically designed to identify and scale disruptive digital platforms. Carmelo utilized his massive cultural leverage and liquidity to gain access to highly exclusive, tightly guarded seed rounds. His portfolio includes early, incredibly lucrative stakes in massive tech unicorns like DraftKings, SeatGeek, and Lyft. By recognizing that software and digital infrastructure were the new oil, Carmelo completely decoupled his net worth from his physical body. His basketball career eventually ended, but his venture capital machine continues to operate at a staggering, hyper-efficient pace, silently compounding wealth while the rest of the world watches his old Syracuse highlight tapes. Number 12. Dwyane Wade, Marquette. Dwyane Wade's legendary 2003 NCAA tournament run, highlighted by a breathtaking, historic triple-double that absolutely dismantled the heavily favored Kentucky Wildcats, catapulted him from a relatively unknown prospect into a global superstar. But Wade's most brilliant paradigm-shifting maneuver happened in a corporate boardroom halfway across the world. After initially building a highly successful traditional endorsement relationship with Jordan Brand, Wade recognized a terrifying limitation. As long as he wore the Jumpman, he would always be an employee, never the boss. In a move that completely shocked the sports business establishment, Wade abandoned millions of dollars in guaranteed American money to sign with the Chinese apparel company Li-Ning. But he didn't just sign an endorsement contract. He negotiated a massive, unprecedented equity stake. He demanded ownership, creative control, and a lifetime contract that effectively made him a global executive. The Way of Wade brand exploded in the Asian market, generating astronomical revenue and making Wade an international mogul. Off the court, his financial aggression only intensified. He heavily invested in the media landscape, co-founding 59th and Prairie Entertainment, and actively expanded his portfolio into the luxury wine market with Wade Cellars. The ultimate flex arrived when he purchased a significant ownership stake in the Utah Jazz, officially transitioning from the hardwood to the owner's suite. Wade didn't just want a seat at the table, he bought the entire room. Number 11. Chris Webber, Michigan. Chris Webber is the cultural epicenter of modern college basketball. As the charismatic, incredibly dynamic leader of the University of Michigan's legendary Fab Five, Webber didn't just play in the 1992 and 1993 NCAA Championship games. He completely revolutionized the global aesthetics, the swagger, and the multi-billion-dollar merchandising engine of the sport. The university generated astronomical, unquantifiable revenue off his image, while NCAA rules explicitly forbade him from earning a single dime. That profound, deeply frustrating economic injustice completely rewired Webber's financial DNA. When he finally reached the NBA, earning over $178 million in salary alone, his investment strategy was ruthlessly focused on absolute, uncompromising ownership. Webber heavily diversified into vast real estate holdings and high-level private equity ventures. But his most audacious, industry-disrupting move has been his aggressive entry into the booming, highly lucrative cannabis industry. Webber co-founded Players Only, an expansive luxury cannabis brand, and launched a staggering $100 million private equity fund specifically designed to empower Black entrepreneurs in the cannabis space. He didn't just want to sell a product. He built a massive state-of-the-art training and operations facility in Detroit, creating jobs and commanding the supply chain. Webber took the immense unpaid cultural capital he generated at Michigan and transformed it into a completely autonomous, heavily fortified corporate empire, proving that true wealth is the ultimate revenge. Number 10. David Robinson, Navy. When David Robinson stepped onto the court for the United States Naval Academy, he was an absolute anomaly, a brilliant, fiercely disciplined, mathematical mind trapped in the body of a Greek god. He led Navy to a miraculous Elite Eight appearance in 1986, captivating the entire nation. But the same intense, unparalleled discipline that made him the admiral on the basketball court translated into a terrifying, hyper-efficient investment strategy in the private equity sector. Robinson completely ignored the traditional, flashy athlete investments. He didn't buy nightclubs or vanity record labels. Instead, He co-founded the Admiral Capital Group, an institutional-grade private equity and real estate firm that operates with the cold, calculating precision of a Wall Street hedge fund. Robinson leveraged his pristine, unimpeachable reputation to raise hundreds of millions of dollars in institutional capital. The Admiral Capital Group quietly built a massive, highly diversified portfolio featuring luxury hotels, sprawling premium office buildings, and expansive multifamily residential complexes across the United States. They manage assets valued well into the hundreds of millions of dollars. But Robinson's true legacy is how he weaponized this massive wealth for societal transformation. He poured millions of his own capital into founding the Carver Academy, completely reshaping the educational landscape for underprivileged children in Texas. David Robinson is not just a basketball legend. He is a titan of private equity who proved that immense profitability and profound social impact can coexist. Number 9. Chris Paul, Wake Forest. Before he was the undisputed point guard of the NBA, Chris Paul was a brilliant, highly calculating floor general at Wake Forest University. He possessed an innate, almost supernatural ability to see plays develop 3 steps before anyone else on the court. That exact same visionary, deeply analytical foresight completely dictates his approach to venture capitalism and wealth accumulation. Chris Paul is the ultimate hyper-modern athlete investor. He didn't just sign traditional endorsement deals. He leveraged his massive global influence to secure highly lucrative equity positions in rapidly scaling disruptive companies. Paul was an incredibly early, visionary investor in Beyond Meat, recognizing the massive impending explosion of the plant-based food industry long before it hit the mainstream markets. When the company finally went public, his early equity stake resulted in an astronomical, highly publicized payday. He has aggressively deployed capital across a sprawling, highly diversified portfolio that includes stakes in Chirpify, minor league baseball franchises, and Spring Hill Company. Furthermore, he serves as an incredibly powerful, deeply respected voice in sports ownership, heavily investing in the WNBA and utilizing his immense leverage as the former president of the Players Association to secure unprecedented financial protections for his peers. Chris Paul treats his investment portfolio exactly like he treats a pick and roll. He identifies the glaring weakness in the market, exploits the structural inefficiency, and executes the highly profitable play with absolute chilling perfection. Number 8. Stephen Curry, Davidson. The 2008 NCAA tournament was completely hijacked by a baby-faced, seemingly undersized assassin from a tiny, unknown liberal arts college. Stephen Curry's miraculous, deeply cinematic Elite Eight run with the Davidson Wildcats fundamentally altered the geometry of basketball. But the true billion-dollar explosion of Stephen Curry's wealth occurred when he applied that exact same disruptive, system-breaking logic to the corporate apparel industry. In 2013, Curry orchestrated one of the most devastating, industry-shifting corporate defections in modern business history. He abandoned the monolithic safety of Nike to sign with a relatively unproven aggressive underdog, Under Armour. But he didn't just take a flat fee. He secured massive, highly lucrative equity stakes. As Curry's global fame reached unprecedented stratospheric heights, Under Armour's valuation exploded, effectively making Curry one of the most powerful corporate partners in the entire world. He subsequently launched the Curry brand, a fully autonomous subsidiary designed to directly rival the cultural dominance of the Jordan brand. Off the court, his financial architecture is equally terrifying. He founded SC30 Inc. to meticulously manage his sprawling investments, brand partnerships, and philanthropic efforts. He launched Unanimous Media, securing massive, highly lucrative production deals to develop content across global platforms. Curry completely shattered the outdated, conventional wisdom of basketball, and then he utilized that exact same revolutionary framework to construct an unassailable, rapidly expanding billion-dollar corporate empire. Number 7. Kevin Durant, Texas. Kevin Durant's tenure at the University of Texas was brief, but it was an absolute masterclass in effortless, terrifying scoring efficiency. He was the very first freshman to ever win the Naismith College Player of the Year award. But while his basketball game is defined by smooth, effortless fluidity, His off-court financial strategy is defined by aggressive, relentless venture capital dominance. Durant is the co-founder of 35 Ventures, a highly sophisticated, institutional-grade investment vehicle that operates right in the beating heart of the global tech industry. He didn't just want to be an ambassador, he wanted to be on the cap table. Durant made highly strategic, early-stage investments in over 100 disruptive, high-growth companies. His visionary, perfectly timed early investment in the delivery platform Postmates resulted in a staggering, astronomical payday when the company was acquired by Uber for $2.65 billion. He was also an incredibly early backer of the cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, turning a modest seed investment into a massive, multi-million-dollar windfall when the company officially went public. Durant has aggressively expanded his portfolio into the highly exclusive realm of global sports ownership, securing lucrative minority stakes in the Philadelphia Union of Major League Soccer and the iconic Paris Saint-Germain football club. He effectively transformed his massive NBA salary into a perpetual, highly diversified venture capital machine, proving that the greatest scorer on the planet is equally lethal in the boardroom. Number 6. Hakeem Olajuwon, Houston. Long before he was a two-time NBA champion, Hakeem "The Dream" Olajuwon was the devastating defensive anchor of the University of Houston's legendary Phi Slama Jama fraternity. He led the Cougars to 3 consecutive Final Four appearances, introducing a level of terrifying, unmatched athleticism that the collegiate game had never seen. But Olajuwon's most remarkable, deeply sophisticated achievements occurred in the highly complex, cutthroat world of commercial real estate. What makes Olajuwon's financial empire so utterly fascinating is his strict, unwavering adherence to Islamic financial principles. His religion strictly prohibits the payment or collection of interest, known as riba. In a real estate industry that is entirely built upon the foundation of massive debt and heavily leveraged mortgages, this restriction should have been a crippling disadvantage. Instead, Olajuwon weaponized it. Because he refused to borrow money, he became an absolute master of liquidity. He targeted highly distressed, deeply undervalued commercial properties in the rapidly expanding Houston market and purchased them outright, utilizing pure, unadulterated cash. By avoiding exorbitant compounding interest payments, his profit margins were astronomically high. He bought massive, sprawling plots of raw land, abandoned bank buildings, and lucrative commercial centers, quietly amassing a staggering real estate portfolio heavily estimated to be worth well over $100 million. He is the ultimate, undeniable proof that unyielding discipline and immense liquidity can completely conquer the real estate market. Number 5. Jamal Mashburn, Kentucky. Under the intense, blinding spotlight of Rick Pitino's legendary Kentucky Wildcats, Jamal Mashburn was a revelation. He was the powerful, highly skilled centerpiece of the 1993 Final Four team, an athlete who possessed the terrifying size of a power forward and the silky, effortless handle of a point guard. But Mashburn's ultimate billion-dollar transition from a highly paid athlete to a corporate titan is one of the most remarkable, meticulously executed pivots in the history of American business. While he earned tens of millions of dollars during a highly successful NBA career, Mashburn understood that an athletic salary is a finite, rapidly depleting resource. He looked at the vast, highly lucrative landscape of the franchise business model and saw a massive, highly scalable opportunity. He didn't just buy a single restaurant, he built a staggering, highly centralized hospitality conglomerate. At the absolute peak of his sprawling corporate empire, Mashburn owned and operated over 90 Papa John's pizza franchises and more than 30 Outback Steakhouse locations simultaneously. He managed an army of over 10,000 employees. But he didn't stop at the food industry. He aggressively diversified into the highly complex, capital-intensive world of automotive retail, purchasing multiple lucrative car dealerships across the country. Mashburn successfully transformed himself from a heavily scrutinized, highly visible basketball star into a silent, wildly profitable corporate CEO, building an untouchable, generational fortune entirely based on systems, scale, and uncompromising execution. Number 4. Shaquille O'Neal, LSU. When Shaquille O'Neal arrived at Louisiana State University, He was a massive, completely unstoppable force of nature, shattering backboards and completely terrifying opposing coaches. But the massive physical dominance he displayed in the NCAA was merely a prelude to the absolute corporate behemoth he would become. Shaq's financial playbook is a brilliant, highly deceptive masterpiece. He actively cultivates a public persona of a playful, goofy, oversized entertainer. But behind closed doors, he operates with the ruthless, calculating precision of a private equity shark. Shaq completely revolutionized the franchise business model. At various points in his staggering corporate journey, he owned an astonishing 155 Five Guys burger restaurants, 40 24-hour fitness centers, and over 100 highly profitable car washes. But his absolute crowning financial achievement was his visionary, highly complex partnership with the Authentic Brands Group. Instead of merely endorsing products, Shaq sold a significant, highly lucrative portion of his own future licensing rights to ABG, in exchange for a massive, structural equity stake in the entire company. Today, Authentic Brands Group is a global multi-billion-dollar licensing juggernaut that owns iconic, legendary brands like Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, Muhammad Ali, and Reebok. Because of his massive equity stake, every single time a Reebok sneaker is sold or an Elvis Presley t-shirt is printed anywhere in the world, Shaquille O'Neal gets paid. He is a financial titan masquerading as a basketball analyst. Number 3. Ulysses Jr. Bridgeman, Louisville. If you want to understand the true, terrifying power of quiet, compounding wealth, you must study Ulysses Jr. Bridgeman. He is the ultimate, undeniable phantom billionaire of the sports world. During his incredibly successful collegiate career at the University of Louisville, Bridgeman was a highly respected, deeply intelligent player, leading the Cardinals to the 1975 Final Four. He enjoyed a solid 12-year career in the NBA, but he played in an era where maximum contracts did not exist. His highest career salary was a relatively modest $350,000. Yet today, his net worth sits at a staggering, heavily fortified $600 million. How did a role player completely out-earn almost every single superstar in the history of the sport? He mastered the unglamorous, highly lucrative mechanics of the fast food supply chain. During the NBA off-seasons, Bridgeman actually worked inside local Wendy's restaurants, painstakingly learning the business from the fryer to the boardroom. He invested his modest NBA earnings into purchasing franchises, eventually building Bridgeman Foods into a colossal, multi-state corporate empire that controlled over 450 Wendy's and Chili's locations. But his ultimate genius maneuver occurred when he sold his massive restaurant empire and immediately utilized the astronomical capital to become one of the largest independent Coca-Cola bottling distributors in the entire world. He also rescued the iconic Ebony and Jet magazines from bankruptcy. Bridgeman is the undisputed king of stealth wealth, proving that the most lucrative plays are executed far away from the cameras. Number 2. Earvin Magic Johnson, Michigan State. The 1979 NCAA Championship game between Earvin Magic, Johnson's Michigan State Spartans, and Larry Bird's Indiana State Sycamores remains the highest-rated, most-watched college basketball game in the history of television. Magic's blinding, charismatic smile and revolutionary passing ability completely saved the sport of basketball. But Magic Johnson didn't just want to save a sport, he wanted to completely rebuild the economic infrastructure of urban America. He is the original, undisputed architect of the athlete-turned-mogul pipeline. When his basketball career was tragically, prematurely cut short, he pivoted to the corporate sector with an unprecedented, terrifying level of aggression. He founded Magic Johnson Enterprises and executed one of the most brilliant, highly profitable corporate partnerships in modern history. He convinced Howard Schultz to let him bring Starbucks to heavily populated, deeply underserved urban neighborhoods. He completely altered the menus, changed the music, and transformed the stores into massive cultural hubs, eventually selling his 105 stores back to the corporation for an astronomical, multi-million-dollar profit. But he didn't stop there. He acquired a massive, highly lucrative ownership stake in the Los Angeles Dodgers, purchased the Equitrust Life Insurance Company, which manages over $20 billion in total assets, and deeply invested in massive infrastructure projects across the country. Magic Johnson is officially recognized as a billionaire, an absolute corporate giant who proved that immense profitability and aggressive urban development are a highly devastating, utterly unstoppable combination. Number 1. Michael Jordan, North Carolina. We have finally reached the absolute apex, the undisputed, highly fortified summit of global athletic wealth. Long before he was a 6-time NBA champion, Michael Jordan was a fearless, incredibly poised freshman at the University of North Carolina. With 15 seconds left in the 1982 NCAA Championship game, he calmly sank the game-winning jumper, instantly transforming from a local standout into a national icon. That single legendary shot ignited a multi-billion-dollar global corporate engine that completely changed the trajectory of human commerce. Michael Jordan's wealth is not merely impressive, it is almost incomprehensible. His revolutionary, industry-breaking partnership with Nike created the Jordan brand, a fully autonomous corporate subsidiary that generates over $5 billion in annual revenue. Every single year, Jordan personally collects hundreds of millions of dollars in passive royalty payments. But his absolute crowning financial achievement occurred in the highly exclusive, incredibly guarded realm of global sports ownership. In 2010, Jordan purchased a majority stake in the Charlotte Bobcats, now Hornets, for approximately $275 million at a severe discount. He held the asset with supreme, unyielding patience as global television revenues exploded and franchise valuations skyrocketed. In 2023, he orchestrated the ultimate historic exit, selling his majority stake for a staggering, mind-bending $3 billion. With a net worth now officially estimated well over $3.2 billion, Michael Jordan is the richest athlete in the history of the world. He didn't just play the game, he completely bought it, sold it, and kept the receipt. From Patrick Ewing's independent sneaker rebellion to Michael Jordan's unprecedented $3 billion franchise sale, these legends prove that March Madness is merely the opening round of a much larger, highly lucrative corporate tournament. Which of these staggering financial blueprints impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe to Black Status for more deep dives. We'll see you next time.